All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our work session for March 11th. We've got 4 items on the agenda this evening. The first being a building code update. David and Mike, you guys ready to go?
Well, I will start off, since it is now Mike's, since I kind of embarked on this and would finish it up and then hand off to Mike. So I guess Mike gets the praise, and then I'll get any blame that may come our way.
Perfect.
This is the document we presented to you is essentially the same as was presented back to you in December. As noted in the current council action form, there's 2 changes on this document, one that talks about references to the building official that reflect our current staffing structure, and then another one is the addition of some appendices to the building code chapter, the plumbing code chapter, and the residential code chapter. I've also placed at your desks a memo. Last Thursday, Mike, Jerry Mallory, and Mick Chapman and I went through the code. We found 4 other things that we would recommend changing in the draft that's been presented to you. One, just roughly, and before I go any farther, Sean Reed with the county building contractor licensing office is here to answer any questions. He would be our expert. Jerry Mallory, unfortunately, would not be able to make it, so Sean's filling in for Jerry. But the first item is in the plumbing code. There was a footnote that talked about requiring a 4-inch minimum size waistline. In reviewing that, would be an issue because your sinks don't have 4-inch lines that make it too restrictive. The second one is for the temporary certificate of occupancy. We're recommending adding a statement saying building official, upon due cause, may extend the time period for the temporary certificate of occupancy. Currently, the code would not allow it to extend past 30 days. There are situations that would legitimately require that to be extended, otherwise you'd be turning people out, possibly. The third one is a reference to its originally stated as a deletion of a prohibition against wood foundations. Upon our review, the code adequately addresses wood foundations. You don't see them around here, but the code does address should someone wish to do that. One thing it did omit was a reference to the Johnson County building officials' residential foundation guidelines, which is a standard reference document in the Johnson County area. It's generally what is followed, so we substituted that and made sure the code said that's the guidance that will be followed. Finally, when you get into the international residential code, there are energy efficiency requirements. I'll have to defer to Sean for more details, but there are several ways to certify that they meet those requirements. One of them is an audit. This is a new requirement going into it. It's quite possible, as folks are learning the system, they may not be able to reach the required threshold of a score of 85 or less. There's some things they can do, but in the event that they are unable to do it in a reasonable fashion, this would provide the building official the ability to issue a occupancy permit as long as the contractor and the owner acknowledge the fact that it doesn't meet it and are willing to accept that. It doesn't mean that it's it's a get out of jail free card, but it is an acceptance of the fact that as you move into new requirements, there may be circumstances that you should, some latitude would be granted. With that, I think, if Sean doesn't mind, if you would join me to help fending off questions and answering, because I have now reached the limit of my expertise on this subject.
Well described, though, I might add. My name is Sean Reed. I'm Program Manager for the Johnson County Contractor Licensing Program. We're a division of the Planning Department, and I work closely with Jerry Mallory through our office, but also through the vehicle of the Johnson County Building Officials Association, which is a professional association of building officials who meet to develop and encourage uniformity, both in code adoption and implementation. I've been a building inspector since 1979. Most of my career in construction has been spent in building inspection or as a plan reviewer. Are there any questions?
On the energy rating score, is that related to or a piece of, I understand there's a new requirement with respect to furnaces for buildings north of a certain latitude. Is that a combined score, or is that completely separate from this?
The HERS rating addresses a variety of components, energy efficiency, and building envelope construction. The rating I think that you're talking about with regards to furnaces is a component of that, but the HERS rating goes well beyond that. It addresses everything from the efficiency of furnaces, water heaters, fuel burning appliances, to one of the things that I think is most significant in HERS rating is it addresses penetrations in the building that allow infiltration and exfiltration. The infiltration and exfiltration, frankly, probably has, in my opinion, the most to do with the efficiency associated with the building envelope, which is just one component in the building as a system.
Okay, so and the reason that the question came up, because it was discussed, or I'd been asked about that if a home has a old furnace with a traditional flue, that beginning in May, they have to have it, if it needs to be replaced, it has to be replaced with a high-efficiency furnace with a PVC flue and significant construction and so on. But that has nothing to do with the overall home's rating. In other words, they can't improve their rating and avoid this change. Is that?
No, I think that you're still going to be, you're still going to have to meet the mandate for more efficient furnaces.
Furnaces? Okay.
Now, I'll be very honest with you, Mayor. I don't know if every single furnace efficiency model is going to require the PVC piping.
Piping, okay.
There are a variety of different kinds of exhaust venting systems, but one of the hallmarks of an increased efficiency furnace is less heat goes up through the flue,
right,
so you're able to use
reuse of the
that's
heat,
right.
Yeah.
So regarding the thing that Dave just talked about, the 85% or the 85 rating,
Yes.
Does that mean that people are going to have to, builders are going to have to install blower doors and test? Is that how they test it?
That's one way to. That's one of the devices that's part of the HERS rating. It's actually not an installation. It's a device that one attaches to the door, and it's used in performing a test, and that is part of what's used in the HERS rating process. It's part of what helps determine whether the building is leaking conditioned air or is bringing in unconditioned air. That would be one method of qualifying.
What are the other methods?
There's prescriptive methods that are identified in the code. I personally think you're going to see most people following the HERS rating. It's a nationally recognized standard because it assigns a numeric value. It's easy for consumers to understand. It's easier for them to understand the difference between a HERS rating of 100 and a HERS rating of 85 or a HERS rating of 68, as opposed to understanding the specifics associated with more efficient furnaces, more efficient water heaters, penetrations throughout the building that are sealed, and the whole variety of components that go into an energy-efficient home system.
But when you say prescriptive, what do you mean by that?
The code provides specific prescriptive standards